Guys, I'm so excited to have Regan. She actually asked me to speak on one of her team calls, and I'm like, I know this name. Why do I know this name? And I go and I look, and I'm like, dude, she's killing it. Like, your social media is just so real, and just like it's what we, as a kind of an older team, needs to see, because things have changed so much, and you're just so real and raw and authentic about being a mom and everything like that. So I feel very honored to have you speak to my upcoming leaders, because they're crushing it and they need to be following coaches who are on the upcoming. And I know you have big, crazy, awesome goals for you and your team that we are hoping you're able to achieve. And I know that you're going to share some amazing knowledge with us. And so I'm going to hand it over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm honored to be speaking to you guys. And I mean, Meg, you're like a legend. So this truly, I mean, you are one of the best in the business. So you guys are so lucky. I mean, this goes without saying, you already know this. You're so lucky to have her as your mentor. But I'm really grateful to be here. And I feel it's, I've been doing a lot of calls lately, and I always start everyone giving the brief background of when I started 4 years ago, because truly, I was the exact opposite of the epitome of what a great coach would look like. And so when I started this, I had everything working against me. So I'm always the great coach that can combat any excuse that somebody has, no matter how valid it is. I've gone through it and I was living it. So I was teaching second grade full time when I started, and teachers just work hard. So I was teaching second grade full time. I was taking 6 grad classes in order to keep my teaching credential current that was about to expire. I had 3 toddlers. I was 7 months pregnant with our 4th baby. I'm now a best-selling author, but at this time, I'm writing. I'm not making anything from it. I'm getting rejections from agents and publishers. We are going under each month financially. My vehicle was taken away. My husband has a good job at this point. I have a good, quote unquote, teacher salary. However, due to my unpaid leaves with my first 3 kiddos, even 6 weeks off without a paycheck put us so behind. All of our credit cards are maxed out. So my marriage is on the brink of divorce. With everything I have going on, I taught myself photography to book photography sessions on the side to try to get groceries for my babies. And again, so I'm like, I'm such a religious person. You know, every night I'm crying out to God, like, what else do you want me to do? Physically, like, there's nothing else I can fit into my schedule. I'm the hardest worker I know. And I'm 7 months pregnant with this 4th baby. And I went through a postpartum depression after my 3rd. And I knew that if I had to go back to teaching again, there was no way I would survive it physically and emotionally. I knew I had to get home. I would not be able to go through it again. And so I have all this going on, you know, not a beach body, no time. Again, we were going under each month, so I didn't even have money for a challenge pack. And for 4 months back and forth, I was talking to my coach. At this point, I had even tried Shakeology before this, hated the taste of it. So I was the chick who's like, I hate Shakeology. It doesn't even taste good. I don't have any money to buy a challenge pack. So like, what am I even going to do? But anyways, long story short, fast forward, by the grace of God, I picked up a credit card. It was pretty much maxed out, but my challenge pack went through. Literally, it was divine intervention. And I came into this just saying, tell me what to do and I'm going to do it. I'm one of the hardest workers I know, did everything she was telling me to do, but I didn't have a following at this time. My first month, I couldn't even sell anything. I didn't even get on the board until the end of my second month. I got 2 SC points and I was like, oh my God, there I am. So everyone thinks, you know, when you start seeing coaches successful, like, man, it's easy for them and they had this great start. Guys, and now, you know, I have a good following. But when I was coming out my first couple months, I would get 1 to 2 likes on a post. And here I am, I'm doing all the things right. And I'm like, where's my tribe? Like, I want to build this empire. And like, where are my people? My family was against me. My husband was against me. He thought this was the biggest scam in the world. My friends laughed. So I had no support from family or friends. But yet I had such a big vision. And my mindset was everything. And actually, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with Chris Downing, one of our celeb trainers. He and I are writing a book together right now. And it's funny, before Chris and I even knew each other, before Chris and I knew about Beachbody, he and I both at the same time were going through our rock bottoms. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Chris's story, but before Beachbody, he's gone through, you know, a rough time. And so he and I were going through these, like, I mean, we were at rock bottom, but we both used the same techniques to pull ourselves out of this. And so I'm going to be talking about how important, you know, a lot of people eye roll mindset and goal writing and how critical that is, but it's one of the biggest players in this. So I'm going to be talking about that. But I shifted my mindset before my circumstances change. And that's for our business. It's like, yeah, I'm going to be more positive and I'm going to be doing this and this, but I want this to happen first. And that's not how it works. Like, you have to change your mindsets and your attitude before the circumstances change. And we all too often, we kind of wait on, you know, when I'm 1 star, when I'm a premier coach, then I'm going to be, you know, no, like, those things have to change before you achieve that. And then that's going to come. So I really have this mentality with my team of gladiators. So I just celebrated my 4th year coaching at the end of June. We've been this, and I love, like, my whole life I've been the underdog. Like, I love being the underdog. I love being the dark horse of the company. And last year I was pushing for elite, and I still remember having a call with corporate in August, guys, in August. So we're pushing like late in the year, and they're like, Greg, we don't want to let you down, but it looks like your numbers aren't there. Elite's just not going to happen this year. Oh, that's all they needed to tell me. Oh, that's all they needed to. It was late August. There wasn't a lot of time left. I'm like, oh, it's on now. You're telling me I can't. Oh, I'm going to make it happen. And literally, it was like December 28th or 31st or whatever it was that Thursday that I made it happen. And they were floored. But it's truly, when people put those limiting beliefs on you, most of the times it's ourselves. But it's just like that barrier that you have to break through. And so so my team and I, we're a 5-star elite team. We've been ranked number 42 in the company. However, what we're pushing for by the end of this year, that I've been told by corporate that it's going to be a bit of a stretch, which I'm like, just keep telling me. We're pushing for 10-star top 20. And it's a big push. But here's what I've done personally for me and what I'm doing with my team. And it's a few of these things that we're implementing every day that's going to get us there. Like, I don't use the word hope. I'm really hopeful. I'm claiming it. This is what's going to happen. And so I've even changed the way my coaches talk. Like, when I'm doing one-on-ones with them, when I'm doing Zooms, I catch them. They're like, yeah, Reg, you know, I really should. I'm probably going to do this. I'm probably going to hit Success Club 10. I'm just like, no. I'm like, listen to how you're speaking right now. You're not probably going to do it. You have to do it. It's a non-negotiable. It's no longer, I should be able to recruit this. I should be able to help my coach rank advance here. It's a must. Like, it stuck with me. Tony Robbins is one of my favorite people to listen to. And good morning, honey. And I had 4 kids in 6 years, so they're probably just going to keep popping out, guys. They just come from all directions. When Tony Robbins talked about your life begins to drastically change when you take your shoulds and turn them into musts. And it's such a simple concept. so simple. It's not easy to implement, but think of how often, yeah, I should be getting my power hour in. I should be doing these invites. I should be doing these follow-ups. And so, okay, thank you, sweetheart. And all too often, the should just remains a should. But when you make it a must, it's a non-negotiable. And I use that word all the time with my team, setting these non-negotiables. We all openly list our goals at the beginning of each month. How many, thank you, love, go ahead. How many people, how many lives we're going to be able to be changing. And a lot of times, like, I hate the word recruit. Like when we're looking at SC points, of course we have to name them something, but we talk about lives we're going to be changing. And so I really always remind them that Success Club is the driver of our business. And so I try to break it down into every single week. And again, and I'm not sure, you know, as you're pushing like for 1-star in this, like this huge leadership position. And Meg, I'm not sure if you have them, if it's like Success Club 10, if that's like your bare minimum of what you want to be achieving. But anyways, whether it's SC5 or SC10, that's 3 to 5 lives each month at a minimum. That is your non-negotiable. So every single week, instead of like, I've got to get this many points and I'm having this many conversations and there's this follow-ups, and it just becomes so overwhelming when you focus on this week, I'm changing 2 lives. Doesn't matter. I'm not sure exactly who they're going to be yet, but it is a non-negotiable that every single week, at a minimum, you're changing 2 lives. You're changing 2 lives. And when you focus on that, it kind of takes that, okay, X amount of invites and follow-ups and all these big numbers, it makes it less threatening and knowing that's so doable. Think of all the people you're talking to and when you're all the people that you're speaking to in your posts. And it's a minimum of 2 people each week. You know, for my leaders on my team, it's like, that is your job. That is your non-negotiable. And I've just recently come up with this, and I talked to them yesterday about it again. You know, July can be a tricky month for Beachbody. For me, in the past several years, July is almost as tricky for me as December, and I don't know why. Well, you know, summer and traveling and people, you know, are kind of, they're not ready to fully commit until the fall, but it doesn't matter. I still have big goals for the month and they're going to happen either way. But what I had said is when you change your mentality, so if I were to tell my coaches and they're struggling and right now and they're saying, Regan, I can't close these deals and these people aren't getting back to me. And I said, if I told you by this Sunday, you needed to sign 3 people, you needed to change 3 people's lives. And if you did that, I'm going to cut you a check for $500. Would you make it happen? And they're like, oh yeah, of course, you know? And I'm like, then why can't you make it happen without it? You know, same thing. Like if my coach would come to me and say, Regan, by tomorrow morning, if you change 3 lives, if you help 3 people, I'm going to give you $500. I wouldn't go to sleep until I helped my 3 people. I would find them from somewhere. If I had to go in my development and knock on some doors, hey, listen, can we have 5 minutes? I mean, I would do it. You would do whatever it takes to get that $500 cut, right? So why don't we look at that urgency, you know, just without it? Because eventually that $500 is going to be a weekly thing, if not even higher than that, you know, where you're at right now. So I always talk about that $500 hustle. Like when my team is saying that they're struggling and am I going to hit Success Club by the end of the month? No, you can hit Success Club within the next 24 hours. Just think of those non-negotiables. And so what I have my coaches who are pushing, a lot of them who are diamonds, who lost their diamond, they're getting it back. I have several going for 1-star and premier. Are the daily power hour, that's without being said. Of course, they need to be doing that. Your power hour is, of course, a non-negotiable. But what else I have them do 6 days a week is 1 additional hour every day strictly in their inbox. Strictly in their inbox, whether they're inviting or following up. I have them set a timer. You don't come out of your inbox for 1 hour. Because we think posts are important, live videos are important, Facebook and Instagram stories are important. And that's the more fun part that we enjoy doing. You know, I love this business. I love this company, Do I get excited over inviting? Let's just be, not really, not really. I'm a people person. I love to talk, but every day when I have to kind of sit down and get in the nitty gritty, it's like, right, I almost have to give myself a little pep talk because it's not always going to be fun, but it's the things that are a must. So not only do they do their power hour every day, they do an additional hour in their inbox. And the reason why I say 6 days a week, of course, we talk about painful, being painfully consistent and 365 and 24/7, with the business, the hustle, hustle, hustle. Yes, like that would be ideal. But let's be totally realistic. Now, do I expect my coaches to show up every single day on social media? Yes, absolutely. But when I tell them 6 days a week, I give them that grace day, or I don't give that. I let them give themselves that. I let them give themselves a grace day once a week, every week, of where, they're sick, or a kiddo's sick, or they just need a mental health day, or whatever it might be, to kind of regroup where they're not 2 hours plus in their inbox behind the scenes working. So, and I feel like it's almost important, just like with LaForge, Joel's giving us 3 rest days. I think it's important that you do have that one day a week where you're kind of digressing and regrouping. You're still showing up on social media because we can all do that. Hobby coaches do that. But behind the scenes, you're giving yourself that one grace day each week, which I pretty much do too. And I'm still like answering some messages in my inbox, but I'm not hours in there. So that's kind of our weekly look. However, I've really had them, as they're talking to people, we get all too comfortable, Facebook messages or Instagram messaging. And I'm like, we forget about the power of hopping on the phone with people. Like today, I have 3 calls with 3 potentials. Years ago, I would never offer hopping on the phone for somebody who especially wanted to work the business. And I think how many people I lost out on. And for me, I really don't like talking on the phone. Typically, my kids will start hurting each other and start screaming. And I'm like, oh man, I can't necessarily be multitasking too much. But think, especially somebody who really is interested and they want to commit to you, think of a 5-minute phone conversation. Offer to hop on the phone with them, what that can do. Likewise, I always have my coaches vary up how they're speaking through Facebook Messenger. So it's not just typing, voice messaging all the time. I really push them to do video messaging. And some of my newer coaches weren't even sure about that feature. They're like, there's a video messaging feature? You constantly have to be thinking how you're setting yourself apart from all the competition. Or I can't tell you how many times, even when I first started sending voice messages, people were like, oh my gosh, I see you on social media, but to hear your voice, it's like you're a real person. And then when I do video messaging, half the time I'm still in my pajamas and I have a messy bun on my hair, on top of my head. And, because my coaches are like, oh, but I never look. No, people like real. Like the worse you look, it's almost better. Like they're like, oh, Regan, you're a mess. I love it. I'm like, and so, and that's kind of, as Meg was saying, like on my social media, I really try to be pretty raw. And I've noticed the imperfect posts and the vulnerability. Like I always tell my coaches, humility opens more doors than anything else will. When I share that I've fallen off the wagon with my nutrition, or that I've like done something, bad, like people relate to that so much more than me, like having an ab post and yeah, I'm just killing it. People relate to real. And so the more authentic you can be, the better. So again, doing that, like with the voice messaging, with the video messaging feature, like when people get to see that real part of you, oh, look at the baby. Oh my goodness. You're selling yourself. So those little tricks really come full circle. And so I'm not sure if you're doing any of those things right now, but it really seems to make, you know, a big deal for, especially closing the deal for my team and I. Let me see here. There's a few messages, and okay, in the chat there, we're good. So the other important part that I want to talk about this, when I was talking about Chris and I and with the mindset, is writing your goals down. And there is not, and I'm sure, Meg, you know, with all of your achievements in this company, as you were working towards those, did you write your goals down? Did you have them?
Yeah, every single morning.
Every single morning. I have yet to speak to a top coach, a multiple six-figure earner, a seven-figure earner. I've yet to come across one of them in this company who did not write their goals down every single day. And again, guys, this isn't a Beachbody thing. It's not a multi-level marketing thing. It's like any successful person in this world thing. Almost every motivational speakers, like best-selling authors, like big CEOs and business owners, they all talk about the power of writing their goals down. And here's the other critical part of it that I train my team to do is you're writing them down in present tense form as if they've already happened. So, so for you, you know, let's say you're pushing to 1 star, but let's say your goal by December is to become a premier coach. So let's just use that. So you would be writing your goals is, I am so thankful to be a premier coach. I am so grateful that I am making $500 every single week with Beachbody. And it has to be specific. You know, even when I'm talking to my clients, oh, I want to lose weight. Well, how much weight? Like I want this, or my coach, I want to make more money. No, that's too generalized. How much more do you want to make? What does that number look like each week? Everything has to be so specific, because if you're going to be generalized, you're just going to have generalized results. No matter if it's like physical results or financial results, business results, you want to be painfully specific, okay? So every single day, and again, there's some days that I'm reading over my goals, but there's something to it. Like, and again, I don't care I'm very religious. I don't care if you're agnostic, spiritual, religious, scientific, whatever you want to call yourself. It's one of those things that my coaches always laugh at me. It's whether you believe it or not, it just works. It's just powerful. It's just one of those things. You can believe it or not, but you might as well try to do it. So every day, writing your goals down in present tense form as if they've already happened. And you know what? Chris and I both had wrote ourselves these letters, which essentially was writing our goals down of how our life was going to look. And I think it's really important to know, just, you know, like in your business, your everyday life, when you're going to look at these goals, like some days you're going to feel frustrated, and some days you're going to be like even questioning yourself. Do I have what it takes? Can I really make this happen? You're going to feel pain. Some days you're going to feel on top of the world and you're going to be like, yes, this is happening. I'm crushing it. But you still have to go through it. Like Chris and I always said, as we were reading our letters to ourselves, we would cry. We would at moments feel like such anguish and depression. Other times we would feel highs knowing that it's coming. So I think it's important to know, to give yourself grace. Like, you're going to have different emotions, but you're still showing up every day. You're still reading your goals. You're still writing your goals. You're still knowing you're going to do whatever it takes to get there. And guys, don't give yourself a backup plan. When my coaches, especially my coaches who still have another job, they're still relying on that income. And it's like, yeah, but if I don't hit this goal, I still know this paycheck's coming in every 2 weeks. And when you give yourself a buffer, when you're giving yourself a plan B, more than likely you're always giving yourself an out. You can't do that. There's this amazing quote of like burning the boats. You know, if you want to take the island, and assuredly take the island, you burn your boats, because that means there is no way out. So the same thing with the business, whatever goal you have, like right now, the goal that I have for my team, it is going to be a hard goal to achieve, but I'm making it a non-negotiable. So I have to do whatever it takes in order to get there. And likewise, I know how I'm posting on social media. You know, a lot of people always ask, well, how do you attract so many working coaches? Well, you have to take a look. How are you posting? If you're posting as a challenger, great. You're going to attract a lot of challengers. How often are you talking about the business opportunity? This is something else I want to talk about. You know, you cannot throw it in there enough, because we're surrounded by Beachbody coaches, right? So we truly have this false impression that everybody knows about Beachbody. Everybody knows what we do. And guys, that couldn't be more false. It's always refreshing to me every week when I get reminded of people who are like, oh wait, I'm not sure what you do. Tell me more about it. Or I've had people who have followed me for a couple years now who I'll get in conversation with, and they're like, Regan, I watch you every day and I really have no clue what you do. You know, and I feel like, man, I feel like I do a good job at kind of exuding what this business is. But we can't assume that people get it. So it's constantly what you're posting is what you're going to be attracting. And really pushing people, guys, if you aren't taking advantage of Facebook stories and Instagram stories, that is such a fun way for people to really be able to see you in a different light than just a post on Facebook or Instagram. So really make sure you're utilizing those. And if you're not comfortable, good. That means you're going to grow. Get uncomfortable. If you're feeling good right now and you're feeling really confident and comfortable in your business, wonderful. But that means you have to level up. That means you're not pushing yourself to you have to have a little bit of an edge. So every week I'm always thinking, what can I do to get myself a little bit more uncomfortable? Because I know that's the only way that I'm going to grow. So something that I have done and this is, a lot of people kind of laugh at this, but it's working for my team. Okay. So we've created, and this is also the power of visualization. We've created these dream team collages. Okay. So anybody that they would love to have work for them in the business, I have them, and they're like, Regan, isn't this a little creepy? Like no, you go to their page and you save a photo of them on your phone. So take their profile picture. Oh, people are probably like, oh my God, you're like stalking me. No, it's really not at all. No, literally, you grab a photo of them and I just want to hold that baby. You save it on your phone. And so for me right now, I have about 27 dream team coaches that I've yet to sign, that I want to sign, and that I'm going to sign. And what's so interesting about this, so I've pulled their profile picture or whatever photo, I've saved it. I've created these collages on my phone. So every day I can take a peek at them. I'm seeing their face, and I know that I need to go love up on them. Okay. I'm going to talk about that too. What's so interesting about this, 3/4 of the people that I put on my dream team collage, we get so busy, and I'm thinking, oh, Annie, yeah, I just talked to Annie recently. And Sarah, I think I talked to her maybe 2 months ago. Guys, when I went to reach out to start loving up on them and having more conversations, it was 8 to 10 months that I've had any contact with these people. Some of them I was thinking I talked to them like 6 weeks ago, and it was like 10 months ago. And I'm thinking, wow, that was such like in my face, like I haven't spoke to them forever. It's almost been a year, when I'm thinking 2 months ago we were having conversations. So it's also a good reminder. If you truly want these people to entrust you and to want to join the business with you, one of the most important things is you've got to love up on them. And so on my team, what we call it is love bombing. And up until a few months ago, I wasn't doing this effectively because I feel like I'm good when I'm scrolling, you know, oh, I'm liking this oh, this is a cute baby photo. And sometimes you drop little heart emojis and you're just kind of get through. And I'm like, yeah, I'm loving up on people. But think about you. Think about when you're checking your notifications on your phone. Say a certain photo has 20 some likes. No one's actively sticking out on those likes for you, right? Like they could just be blending in. So people, for me, it's like Regan Long, oh, they're not going to know. Like they're getting all these notifications. My little heart emoji or liking of a photo of them is just going to blend right in there. So when I'm saying you actively need to love bomb them, it is taking 3 to 4 photos, liking on them, commenting on them. So you're making your presence known. So it's Regan Long liked this photo, Regan Long liked this photo, Regan Long commented on this. Now, there's a certain way you don't want to be overbearing to where like, whoa, okay, Reg, I got it. Like, don't you have better things to do? But when I've noticed that it's always created 3 to 4 photos of me liking or commenting, it's just making my presence known to them. And it's catching their attention. So, and that seems to be working well for my team as well, that it's just enough to be showing that you're there. Likewise, that's also going to, you know, we take for granted, you know, we make these great posts and everyone's seeing them, but, you know, we all know we have to remind ourselves that the way the algorithms are set up, like, guys, there's just such a small percentage of the people that you're connected to that are seeing your posts. That being said, a trick that I do, especially, you know, if you make a really good post and you're like, man, I almost wish I could just throw that one out there again, you know, get it back in the news feeds. What I do, so if I made a post, whether it was like 3 days ago or maybe even a couple weeks ago that did really well, or maybe it didn't, but I want it to get back in the news feeds, what I do is I always tag myself in my photos. So literally, like I go and I tag Regan Long so it shows up. But what I'll do is I'll go untag myself and then I'll immediately retag myself so it throws it right back into the news feeds. Does that make sense? So it's a good way, however you're looking at it, maybe a post that didn't get a lot of engagement that you want to get back into the news feeds, or a post that did really well, but you're like, man, I just want more people to be able to see this. Just little tricks like that to get things back and flowing. Also, you can simply even like your own status update or your own photo that can kind of throw it back in there. But that's another trick that I do to try to kind of get more eyes, so to speak, on my posts. How am I doing so far, Meg? Like, is there good? Good on time? Okay, great. So for you two coaches who are on, like, what are your thoughts? Like, is what I'm saying making sense? Or what is your, right now for either of you, what is your biggest obstacle that you have right now that you feel like you're facing on hitting this like rank advancement?
I can go. I feel like I get in my own way with belief, which is something that I'm working on, but I also feel like it's coaches that like don't really see the vision that I'm trying to paint, or like getting business builders on the team. Like I feel like I'm just doing it all by myself.
Right. And that is one of the biggest, and I'm so glad you brought that up. You know, when I first had a small handful of working coaches on my team, I felt like I was painfully pulling them along. And it's like, okay, I want this, and this is going to be great. And guys, you're going to do it too. And I think that's one of the hardest things is, not that I was trying to force my goals on them, but that's something that's a hard reality to face, that we have to be sure that their goals are in line with your goals, or how are they matching up? You know, you're pushing for this leadership rank, you know, and for many of them, maybe it's just to become emerald or to become a stable emerald, right? Or of course, you know, someone pushing for diamond underneath you. So I always make sure because as a leader, there are times, many times, that you do need to give that loving, that tough love, become the loving enforcer. But I always make sure that before we're in a push, before we go into whatever type of push it might be, that this is what they want. I make it very clear. Okay, this is what I'm pushing for. This is what you tell me you want. Let me tell you, life's going to happen. Because it seems like in the middle of a push, they're like, oh, this happened, and then I'm struggling in my relationship and at work, and then I'm not sleeping, and the baby's up, and I'm just so tired. And again, the first thing I do for my team, I love them first. I look at them as a friend or a family first, and a mentor second. So I love up on them, and I validate their feelings, their reasons, because let's face it, their excuses are valid. I hear that, and I've gone through a lot of that, and I've experienced it. So I always validate. I hear you, and that's got to be tough, and I'm here for you, and what can we do to make that better? But you told me that you wanted this and that you're going for this, and I know you can do it. This is life. Like, this is going to happen. And you know what? Next month, this still might be going on. Or next month, something else is going to come up. But this is where the grit comes in. This is where laser focus comes in. Because something is always going to be happening, whether it's sleep deprivation, trouble with your significant other. Parenting is just like, my kids are my life. I live and breathe for them. But by God, by 7 p.m. every day, I'm like, go away for a minute. Like, please. It's like we have these daunting, exhausting tasks to get through every day. But it's reminding them, this is what you are going for. And I think it's really important. Language is everything. And you have to be careful of me, this is my goal, but no, reminding them that this is your goal and this is what my job is to help you achieve. So we're not going to back off. We're not going to create a plan B. We can create 27 ways to get through plan A. I don't care how many, but we're not going to create a plan B. We're still going to make this happen for you. But do we need to be creative to get through X, Y, and Z, what you're going through? So always validate first, love on them, but remind them, no, we're doing this together. It is my job. I'm going to help see you through this. But I do know that it is, and I've been there and done that, of trying to force something on somebody that they don't want. And that's a painful, it's just a daunting thing to go through, to pull them when they don't want it. Likewise, I just know even when I was pushing for Diamond, at this point, again, we're still not fully able to pay our bills. I was missing one emerald. And my coach is like, Reg, you just need to sign your husband up. And I'm like, Meg, I don't have the money for it. Like, I can't do it. And she was talking about, how this would maximize my business and how you're going to have control over his account and he's going to be your emerald to go to Diamond. And I'm like, but I just don't have the money for it. And I had to chalk it up. But I knew it was one of those, this business, we forget this is a legitimate business just because it's not a brick and mortar business. There's sacrificing of time and there's sacrificing of I don't know if it's the right word, of sacrificing of money, but it was. I knew that I needed to make that investment. It wasn't the money wasn't technically there, but I had to make it be there because I did have a big vision. I knew this process worked. I didn't doubt the process at all. I wanted it to be happening a little bit quicker than it did. That's for sure. I'm like, this empire, like, where are all these people who want to work the business with me? But I knew I had to be patient. And in the meantime, I chalked it up. I bought the challenge pack. I got Shakeology samples because I'm like, okay, I'm going to send these out. I'll be able to get a little bit of a return because I always do buy 6, get 1 free for Shakeology samples. So, and I knew I had control over my husband's account. I made him an emerald. That was my missing piece to diamonds. But I think it's also equally important if you have family members. Now, this is where you, of course, I always say, Success Club for you is a non-negotiable first before you're doing anything else. Now, I'll tell my coaches, if they're like 1 move from Diamond, or if you are 1 move from from 1-star diamond or whatever it might be where you need to place somebody, then I always say, okay, if it's one move, then let's place them there, and you have it. Otherwise, you make sure you hit Success Club first before you're making your placements. But there is, if you have a parent or a sibling or a significant other whose business that you're not yet working or you haven't signed them up, it truly is, guys, that's one of those, I don't want to call it a sacrifice, but it's just a smart move. It's just a smart move to make that, and it's a smart investment to be able to have control over another business center, beneath you. So, I see Meg, let me, so at least that's always somebody that you have full control over their account that, I'd highly recommend doing that if you have not done that yet. Okay, so what is your biggest way of recruiting right now? IG and Facebook. How do you post, cold invites to coaching? Do you run sneak peeks? Okay, so Facebook is basically where I'm getting the majority of my business. However, I'm showing up every day on Instagram. I feel like I rock my Instagram stories. A lot of people are watching, but I'm still not getting a lot of turnover on my business. So for me, one of my things that I'm doing every day is I'm making sure that I am studying Instagram more. I'm studying hashtags more. I'm doing this work and I'm showing up, and I know I'm doing a pretty good job, but yet my business, if I would be able to duplicate what I do on Facebook for Instagram, my business would be doubling. So it's also being able to swallow those pills knowing, and Instagram's really the place to be right now. So if you are likewise finding Facebook's our safe spot, like we feel comfortable there, right? Most of us. But if you are not seeing a lot of return from Instagram right now, the only thing that I can tell you to do is I'm doing, swallowing my pride. I'm diving into a lot of trainings because I know that this is where I want to move the biggest part of my business to. Okay. But I really try to utilize my Instagram stories. I'll talk a lot about, and I do, and I always mix it up. Variety is the spice of life. I do boomerangs. I'm talking. I do still shots. I'm posting just different ways of, and I always say, I'm a Christian girl. I don't lie. I've never done that. But do I think I'm very creative in the language I use and the way I go about things? Yes, you have to be. If you're a business person, you have to be creative. So, for instance, typically my inbox is inundated. However, let's say you only got 2 messages today, and that's what you have in your inbox. That doesn't mean that you can't go say, hey guys, my inbox is filled. I'm talking with so many people who are so excited about the launch of Lift 4. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have to create some hype up, so like little tricks like that. Likewise, when I'm talking about the business opportunity, whether it's I do it through stories on Facebook stories and Instagram stories, but likewise, every week, I talk about the business all the time, but every week I have at least 1 to 2 call to actions. Okay. Call to actions on talking about the business opportunity, getting them into this ongoing sneak peek group that I've created. And again, call to actions are so important. Now, I don't think they should be every single post of yours, but I feel like whether it's for a challenge group spot or whether it's for a sneak peek or whether it's to chat more about the business opportunity, you have to be directing them to do something. Comment below with an emoji. Comment below with your, with I'm interested, or send me more details. Like, give them a specific action to be doing. What I also have known that works well for me is, and now I don't have people use their emails on my public posts because people are trying to steal my people. Before, I was having people comment with emails below. Like, sadly, you can't trust, you can't trust people. So what I would do is comment below with an emoji and then personal message me your email address. There's something different. Even that, guys, the power of email as well. When I've been shifting, like, Messenger is like Messenger, okay? But when I'm talking to people through email versus Messenger, there's something just a little bit different. It's like leveled up a bit. And then I find they're just much more comfortable talking over there. So I think it's always important to get the person's email. Likewise, when I'm in conversation, and especially people are interested in signing up, whether it's just to be a discount coach or a working coach, earlier in the conversation, I try to get their email and their cell phone number, especially when people go quiet. We always know we get the crickets, if we're talking to them on Facebook or Instagram. It's always great that, at the beginning, I'm like, hey, sometimes Messenger can get, my inbox gets inundated. Do you mind shooting me over your email and cell in case that's easier to go about? So then if they've gone quiet and they're not responding, you can always shoot them an email or a text saying, hey, Regan, I didn't know if maybe it's easier to talk through text or you want to hop on the phone for 5 minutes. I know you were really interested. My schedule's slammed, but you know what? I have 2 spots tomorrow, 2 openings. I'd love to hop on the phone and chat for a few minutes. Little things like that make a huge difference. Okay. So collecting their emails and cell phone numbers, having those handy. But as far as my sneak peek group goes, I have an ongoing group that I have people in, and I just titled it Highly Motivated Individuals Working with Regan Long. I try to be very, not that I'm ashamed of Beachbody at all, but all too often when we're just throwing out Beachbody, there needs to be a little, curiosity marketing is important. I also brand myself as a lifestyle coach, not necessarily a Beachbody coach. And for me, that's just a comfortability thing. Like, it just leaves a little bit of curiosity. But so anyways, I have an ongoing group that I post in every single day. There's something in there. Sometimes it's sharing a post off of my personal page that I want them to see. Because again, when we think about it, we think that we make these posts and everybody's just seeing them, whether they're liking them or not. And that's not the case. People are busy. Like 2% of people of your contacts are seeing your posts. So when they're in that group of mine and I'm sharing my posts, they're actually getting that notification. Regan Long just shared a post in working, So that's also a huge benefit that they're seeing that, and that I have them in there. And I've talked to coaches and I've seen success on both ways. Some create new sneak peek groups every single week and it works beautifully for them. Some create a new group each month. For me, just what works, I just have an ongoing group that I run, and I like having all of my people in there because today I have somebody signing that I've been working on 2.5 years who's been watching me. And so it's just something that I'm comfortable with. And so I have my ongoing group that I run. Likewise, I've noticed, so I have the ongoing business group, but I also have, and it's not a challenge group. So I want you to understand that. Hey, Kendall, Ken, I need you to quiet, please. I have an ongoing, challenger type sneak peek group, if you want to call it that. It's called Conquering Your Overall Health with Regan Long. And when I went through some scary health stuff at the beginning of this year, I created it. But so likewise, any of my challenger type deals, transformations, my Shakeology posts, just anything fun, talking about an upcoming group, I shared those posts in there. And I've also done some fun, creative things to get people in there. Like I've made, I can't even think of a specific post offhand, but something, I'll do things very non-Beachbody related to entice them to want to join that group so that they're in there. So then they'll be getting that notification for all of my posts. So you really have to be creative in how you're enticing people to get in these type of groups. But for me, I found that a lot of my working coaches, a lot of my challengers do come from these groups that they've been in that they're seeing, they're technically, I'm building a rapport with them, is they're seeing these posts every day that are being shared in there, that they wouldn't, unless they were actively following me thinking, oh, I'm going to go check out Regan Long's page today. Unless they were actively doing that, they would have missed all of these posts otherwise. So kind of having it, and again, not a challenge group, but just more of like a holding group where you're sharing all of these fun, everything about, nutrition and fitness and transformations and so forth. Meg, so you said Facebook profile or like page for...
So like when you're posting, like you said, Facebook's still like your main area. Is
right.
it like your Facebook profile, or is it like a like page?
Okay. And it's changed. Now it's all off my personal page. I do have a like page. And I think it's like around 36,000 likes. Mm-hmm. So it's a pretty established page. Let me tell you, I'm not getting much business off it at all. It's all from my personal page.
Yeah, I know that too.
Yeah, should we thank Mark Zuckerberg? Like, I swear so many times I want to fly out to his office and be like, dude, what are you doing?
I know. I mean, I've built my business off of my like page for like 8 years, and I put a post up yesterday, and I told Kirk, I said, one like out of 69,000 followers, like that doesn't make sense. And he was just dying because he's used to me being like, I hate Facebook.
Right. And that's why, it's same thing. And so I hadn't paid for such a long time. I hadn't even paid to like sponsor a post. So I'm like, okay, maybe I need to do that to get back. And literally I've only ever spent $3 to $4 each time, I boosted a post in the past. Oh, it still didn't get me anything. And so again, these are challenges we face, whether, we can complain about it and feel frustrated, which is valid. So it's like, so what are we going to do about it? So for me, it's really utilizing my personal page, and it's likewise, guys, it's also like one of my top coaches right now, she came to me with like 16 Facebook friends. So conservative, so private. And the 16 friends were like her family. Okay. And she's now one of my top coaches who now has, I think, she has like over 2,000 friends, connections, but she's built that. And how I've taught my team that is, you really, because this is another integral part of the business. Like the majority of my coaches now, they're not like friends from high school or college, which I was banking on. I'm like, because I was an athlete. I was always into sports. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to grow this team with all my girls, and they're going to love me, and they're going to kill this business. And no, it's not them. Mm-hmm. That hurts. But all of my team now, the majority of them, 95%, are people that I had never met until like a summit or an event, and they're spread across everywhere. But it was making connections through different Facebook groups. Like for me, I was in teacher groups, I was in breastfeeding groups, I was in moms of toddlers, whatever is, I was in some blogging groups. Whatever piques your interest. But like we live in a time now where multi-level marketing is everywhere, and people are very much in tune to why you're in there. Of course, I think you guys are at the level, this goes without saying, you can't be in any of these groups posting about Beachbody. Of course, but likewise, if you're only going to be a fly on the wall, it's doing it's just doing you a disservice. So what I tell my coaches to do, because they're like, but I get overwhelmed, and now you want me to make these new connections. I'm like, guys, take 5 minutes each day, put yourself into your top group that you're in. Some of these groups have hundreds, some of them have tens of thousands. And I'm like, in order to pull these new connections, you have to be doing something. So you need to be doing one of two things in these groups. One, you need to be scrolling through looking for a post that you can comment on and engage with, where you think, oh my gosh, I think she's kind of like my person. Like she would be part of my tribe. Commenting on the post. And then I always, for me, what works for my team, I tell them to send a friend request right after. So they're not like, well, who's this Regan Long chick? oh, she's the mom who commented on in the breastfeeding group. Oh, she made that really sweet comment, or she gave me that suggestion. And it also comes up when that friend request is sent. They're seeing Regan Long, also a member of breastfeeding discussion. You know what I mean? Likewise, in these groups, you want to be engaging. So even if it's posting something that's just cutesy, or maybe posting a question that you're going to get a lot of traction on, maybe it's something you already know the answer to, but you're still trying to create engagement. Like, this is where you're going to pull people from, you know? And I really feel like it's imperative that you are, because so many people are like, Regan, I'm running out of people on my list. I'm running out of my warm market. Okay, well, think if every single day you are adding 5 people, you're taking 5 minutes and you're adding 5 new people every day, you're not going to have that issue. So it's these little things, especially trying to grow your list by 5 people each day. Think about that. Like, you think about how your numbers are going to grow. And again, you're not always going to want to do it. You're going to be sitting there and you're going to want to watch your Real Housewives on the DVR and not have to worry about like making these new contacts. But it's part of it. And it's taking those shoulds. Yeah, I should really be trying to make these new connections. That's not a should. It's a vital part of the business. It's not a should. I must go find 5 new people to connect with. I must. And some days you're going to surprise yourself and it might only take 3 to 4 minutes. And other days it might take you 11 or 12 minutes. But it's one of those musts. And again, essentially, if you do this correctly, you're never going to run out of people. Same thing with Instagram. That's such a where everything's moving towards and shifting towards. You know, like for me, as I'm watching trainings, it's taking time to study hashtags. And I'm like, I don't want to sit here and study hashtags and be looking through them and seeing who's there, but it's part of it. And so again, it's forcing myself. I know I've got to do this. If I want to vamp my business up on Instagram, I've got to do these little things. I've got to tweak these little things. I've got to invest 35 minutes on hashtags this afternoon when I'd rather not be. But so it's really, speaking of that, likewise, and I'll start tying things up. Speaking of that, something that I started to do, guys, for about 3 years in this business, and I prided myself on it, which is foolish, I was able to go with the flow. Same thing as a teacher. There's times I wouldn't have lesson plans, and I could be carrying my teacher's manual up to the board, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what we're going to do right now. And I just came up with it in 20 seconds. And that's how I was running my business. And I was still doing okay. I was, okay, I know what I need to do in my head. I'm juggling it. Yeah, I should follow up with this person and let me just look through my inbox. I was kind of winging it. And it wasn't until about 6 to 8 months ago, literally bought my notebook from the dollar store, old school, like however you're comfortable with tracking. And I started writing things down, like the importance of tracking your business. Who has signed up this month? Who you need to follow up with? This person's just Beachbody on demand. How can you talk to them the next month about, you know, converting and implementing Shakeology? Writing it down. Likewise, what has really moved my business forward, my team, just recently, I'm creating a painfully specific, like tedious to-do list every single day. And for me, what I do in my business, I either stay up really late one night where I'll work till like, you know, maybe 2 a.m. Or if I go to bed a little bit earlier, I'm up at 5 a.m. working. So either late at night, I'm creating my to-do list for the next day, or at 5 a.m., I'm creating the to-do list. And I'm saying the smallest tasks that, oh, I know to do that. That's part of my power hour. I know, no, you need to write it out. Like writing everything out. Even when I did a push group with Shalene Johnson, talking about the power and the importance of writing out your to-do list. And so that's something else that if you're kind of winging it, like I did for so long, and I did it so foolishly, you don't want to do that. Like, you have to track your business somehow. There's so many beautiful online ways to do it, but I'm kind of old school. And so I truly just like using a notebook and a pen, and that works for me. So it's whatever's going to be most efficient for you, but you need to be tracking your business, and every day you need to be working from some type of list. And I'm telling you, I wasn't arrogant, but I just want to use the word, I was foolish to believe that I could keep going for the goals that I wanted without working more meticulously from a list. So again, and like all of these things that I've shared, guys, nothing's mind blowing, nothing's earth shattering. I've had many calls with corporate lately, you know, going over my goals, and I'm constantly waiting for like some big secret to be revealed, right? Like we want like, you know, like Meg, are you holding out on me? Like, what aren't you telling me to get? Like there's, you know, we're waiting for some earth shattering secret to be revealed. And there isn't any. It's truly, you know, looking at Meg, who's a millionaire earner in this business, and she's still going to tell you it's staying in the trenches. It's staying in the daily vital behaviors. And it's just, I think sometimes we foolishly want something else, like some secret sauce that's going to get us there. And it's staying in phase one and doing these daily vital behaviors and turning the shoulds into musts and creating these non-negotiables. Again, do not give yourself a plan B. The goal you have, no matter how unrealistic it seems to obtain it, it's a non-negotiable. Like there's no way out. You're going to do it. It's going to be tough. It's okay. You should be feeling some pressure. If you're not feeling uncomfortable, if you're not feeling a little pressure, then you need to be giving yourself that. Diamonds are made under pressure. I'm sure you've heard that, and that's more, you know, kind of an eye roll quote, but it's true. Anything that I've done good in my life, I felt tense about, and I felt pressure, and I felt uncertainty, but I pushed myself through it. So you need to be working through some of those feelings, because that means that you're growing. Write those goals down, see them every day. And truly remember that what you're pushing for, it's not just a rank, it's like a leadership position. It's when people start looking at you differently. You know, when you're a diamond and you're moving to like a 1-star diamond, people are like, wow, it's not just like skin in the game. Like, yeah, she knows what she's doing. She's a leader in this company. And for me, and I still even remember the post I made when I was a 1-star diamond, I bought myself a jogging stroller for the baby. And I was so proud, because at this point, you know, we're paying our bills. We're not necessarily going under each month, but it was such a treat for me. And I still remember being on our porch at the time with this red stroller that I bought. And I just started posting differently. Like I felt like a leader. Like I had a different confidence about me, which also attracted more working coaches to me. And at this point, this is what you're really yearning for. Like you're ready to build a team. You want people who want it as bad as you. So when you're actively sharing those things, why you're doing this, like we always think at the beginning of the business, we share our why we're doing this. And it's this cute, like sentimental post. You need to be sharing that all the time, because that's going to be attracting those people. Your why. There's so many others you're connected to who share that same why. So you need to be doing a good job at sharing that. So your like attracts like, guys. It just does. It just does. So if you're not finding that you're getting as many tribe members who want to work the business as much as you yet, just really think, what can you tweak? Are you talking about it enough? Are you flat out inviting to the coaching opportunity? I do. After I've loved up on them a little bit, I don't have a script. And so many of my coaches are always like, but Regan, give me a script to invite to the coaching opportunity. I'm like, there should not be a script for that. That is something very personal. And if you are actively seeking somebody out for the coaching opportunity, it is for specific reasons. Maybe it's because you see that they're posting that they want to get home. Like me, I was just so depressed on social media and just wah and crying, and I don't want to go back to teaching, and I need to get home. Maybe it's somebody who already just has a beautiful presence on social media that you're like, you know what? God, I love seeing your posts every day. And seriously, you get so much traction and you have the ear of so many people. Selfishly, like, I want you to work with me. You'd be able to reach so many people that I could never be able to reach. Do you ever think about doing what I do? Like, you would just kill this. Maybe it's somebody who's just already a gym rat, who's already into health and fitness. You know, like, don't forget that, again, the power of complimenting people, like authentic compliments of why you're pulled to them and why you want them to work with you, you know? So I make sure I do very much cold invite to the business opportunity. In the past 24 hours, guys, I've had 3 newer coaches of mine, all unrelated, they didn't know about the other one doing this, saying that they were like, Regan, I just asked this girl, you know, do you want to do this with me? Do you want to try to work the business with me? And all three people, they got a yes. You know, and I don't want to create a false hope, because you're not always going to get yeses. You're going to get no's, and you're going to get people that are going to ignore you. One of my lifers with me told me no like 5 times, and she's been a working coach with me for 3 years. No means not right now. So it's not always going to be, yeah, I want to work with you. This is going to be great. So I don't want to create that false hope, but you need to plant the seed. You need to put it out there, because whether they've ignored you, whether they've told you no, no matter what it is, they're still going to be watching you now. And it's your job to create that real opportunity, sharing that presence on social media, like, you know, quite frequently. And again, the power of having a group to put these people into, that they're going to see your posts that you can share in there consistently. Like that's been a huge help for me. So Meg, is there anything else that you wanted me to touch on or kind of elaborate on?
No, that was so awesome. Like I have all these, because I take notes on my computer.
Right.
I have all these notes on the side of my computer. And it's so important for us to hear, I think, just to rewrite our goals. I think there's something so powerful in that, as well as just hearing, you know, your story, everything that you've overcome, and you're crushing it and your team's crushing it. And it's a good reminder for all of us that it's like life doesn't slow down. You know, I look at things that we've accomplished, and every time as a team we've been about to accomplish something big, that's when like it shits the fan, you know, like bad stuff happens, but you have to push through. So Regan, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. I can't wait to share this recording with everyone. Everyone have a wonderful Friday, and I'll talk to you guys all online.